Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you today?
Good, good. How are you?
Oh, I'm hanging in there, having a blast. Sorry, as you can see, I'm sometimes like a bust a move in the morning. I can't help it. Like I want to just get up and just dance sometimes, but nobody needs to see that. And that's not where we're at right now.
Yeah,
So,
that's why I had my
welcome.
camera on.
That's why. Oh, why? Because you were busting a move? Yeah, I'm sure.
Was, yeah.
I'm sure you were. All right, let me get Chris in here in just a second. There he is. All right, I'm going to make you a co-host also so you can share. I'm sure you're going to share some stuff. All right, I think we are good to go. So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Thursday morning tactical. Actually, Paramount Title came together, and we're gonna do some pretty cool stuff. I've had a lot of agents asking for this, right, Lisa? Like they're all
Yeah, a lot.
like, hey, help me, help me, help me. So thank you, Chris, and thank you, Lisa, for being on this morning to kind of walk us through the Title Toolbox and the FANAgent app. We truly, truly appreciate it. And so I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go ahead and get started. I'll turn off my camera and I'll kind of watch the chats and stuff like that for you too as you're kind of going through and let's rock and roll.
All right, awesome. Hey, Chris.
Good morning, everyone. All right, so we'll dive in, and again, most of you most likely know Miss Lisa, and I work with Lisa over at Paramount Title. And our presentation today, and definitely if you have any questions or you want specific one-on-one training, reach out to Lisa, absolutely, and we can make sure to put our information in the chat just in case if you don't have it. But definitely reach out to Lisa, and we'll kind of do a one-on-one. In addition to that, we'll kind of go in through, briefly with our net sheet. But if there's anything you want kind of in depth, we can definitely do that. Also, Lisa will help me, if you don't mind, Miss Lisa. If there's any questions or you want me to kind of like jump back to a specific item when I go through the training, throw it in the chat. And then what we can do is if we can either kind of hit on it right then or at the tail end, we can kind of open it up to questions. So we'll kind of go from there. So, okay. Well, very cool. Well, what we'll do is we'll kind of just dive into it. Let me just share my screen. I'm going to go with share my screen. It's going to happen here. Give me one sec. All right. You should see my screen now. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I wanted to just kind of land on our main website for anyone that does not never been here. This will kind of come up at the tail end as well, and then I'll dive into Title Toolbox. But this is where, again, I just went to ParamountTitleFL.com, or you can go to ptitlefl.com, and then it can link you right to that to this specific page. We'll go through the net sheet calculator as at the very tail end. But this is where you can download it. And then there's also other features on the website, deposit the EMD, the electronic EMD, or you could refer, if you're on the list side, you can refer your buyers agents to just go to the website, even during the weekend, because we know there is that timeline. So we try to make it super easy for everybody. Okay. All right. So let's dive into Title Toolbox. Okay. So this is me just I'm already logged in, but this is right when you log in, you're right here. Let me just go ahead and answer it right off the bat. You can't go in and register for this yourself. You have to go through one of us at Paramount Title, and then we can give you access to the database. Okay. So if some of you already have that, awesome. But if you do not, and you're kind of wondering, how do I get my hands on it? How do I start utilizing it as well? Lisa would definitely be a good contact for you. I can also put my information in the chat before we end the call today, but by all means, we would just do that. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I also like to bring up that this is definitely more of a web-based program. So what I mean by that is because of the amount of data that's being pumped through from the county sites, you can utilize it on your cell phone, but it's just going to bog down. It's like anything else on your cell phone. You try to search something, if there's a lot to pull up on the back end, as we all know, it's going to jam it up. So this is definitely more of a desktop version, but that way when you're doing your leads and kind of lead generating, that can help you. Okay. So again, we're here, we're under the map section. As you can see, this covers the entire state of Florida and the properties within the database, okay? And the data is being pulled through the county websites. So everything is related to that. So if there is the property and it's officially with the county sites, it is on this. This is definitely more geared towards residential properties. Doesn't mean you can't get your hands on commercial. Okay, so that is also, but it's limited. One other thing I do want to say is, let's say you specialize in condo buildings or something like villas and stuff of that nature. You can also pull that. So when we get into kind of some of the farming techniques on this, and you farm a specific area, let's say you do specialize in a kind of a downtown market, what you would do is you would just circle the building, the condo building, and it's going to pull all of the owners if they are individually owned units. Okay, so just again, keep that in the back of your mind. Those are all options. You can do that. Sometimes I do those during the training, sometimes I don't, and I know sometimes it's a smaller crowd. Okay, all right. So up at the top, you can see kind of there's a couple of there's the panel up here. So we have property search, farming, statistics, and then you can just type in the search right up at the top. Okay. The site's fairly easy once you kind of figure out exactly what you want to look for. Okay. And again, it's repetitive. So once you do it once or twice, it's super easy. One other thing I do want to mention, the site is free up until a certain point. I'll tell you when in that site that there is a cost to it. But for the most part, everything I'm showing you right now, everything I'm going to go into, everything pulling the data, it's all free. Okay, it's free to you guys with our relationship with Beggins and Paramount Title. It is free. The one thing, when it gets to the point to where there is a cost to it, as far as going down that rabbit hole to get additional information on that property, that's where there is a cost to it. We'll go into that, but I just wanted everybody to kind of know, because I know sometimes that's a question too, as to what the cost is. Okay. So up at the top, I'm going to do a couple of things here. Please throw anything in the chat if you do have questions. So what we'll do is property search. So you'll see if I just click on this, I see a couple of questions going through. Hopefully we can kind of go through some of those things as we go through it. But you can see I can either type in a property address. Okay. I can put in an owner's name. So let's say you're working with an investor, you want to see how many deals they actually own. Maybe they have an LLC, you can put that here, or if you have a parcel number. But what I'll do is, if I'm here, you also have, because you can do non-owner occupied and owner occupied. That's why you have the mailing address specifically, especially if you know the property is being rented. But what you can do is you can do here, and I can just put in the address. Okay, so if I just randomly pull an address, just type here out, it's going to start pulling specific properties related to that. Okay, so let's say this is my property, 2310 Medford. I would click on that, and then I would hit just search. Okay, so it's going to be a basic search on the property. It's going to give me all the property characteristics. It's going to give me anything related that is tied to the county. Okay, so if I zoom out though, you'll see it kind of change the view of my screen. But if I zoom out, here's the neighborhood it's in. Okay, so it's showing me it is in a subdivision. And then over here to the right, hopefully everybody can see that. I can zoom in. Lisa, let me know if I need to zoom in a little bit. But you can see here's the property. It's going to start kind of going through the characteristics fairly quickly. When was it sold? What was the amount? Who's the current owner? The API, or APN, everything based off of that. Is it owner occupied? Bedrooms, bath, all that fun stuff. Okay, so that's a quick search on a property to where I could dive a little further into that.
Chris,
I could also.
Chris, they're asking for you to zoom in a little, please. Yeah.
Got it. Give me one sec. Hopefully that's a little better. I may have to zoom out in certain views, but hopefully that works. Lisa, is that a little bit better on your side?
Yeah, it's a little bit better on my side.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So hang on. jamming up on me over here. Hang on. Okay, but just keep me posted if you need me to zoom any way differently. Again, if I go back out because of a certain screen, I will come back in. Okay. Okay. So with that being said, this is the view on that. Okay. Keep going in and out, but same thing. And see, as you can tell, it kind of messed with my view up here. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit real quick just to show you something. I could also search a property address in this panel at the very top. Okay. So instead of going the property search way, I could do a different way and I could just pull it. All right, I'm going to just search a specific property. Let's say it's this one in Riverview, and then I'm going to pull it that way. When I do it this way, it's going to give me a different view. Okay, so I can zoom out. So this again is me doing the property search in the little search box in the middle. Okay, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. I will zoom in just a second as I get to the data, but you can see that it's property characteristics right there. Okay, from here, I can generate certain reports. I can view the details. If I hit detailed view, it's going to go into and it's going to say, what's my general? It's going to give me a view of the property, who's the owner, all that. Again, I can do this again on the owner, or their dual, is there a husband and wife, all that fun stuff. I can do location, tax, property, sale information. Is there anything of record as for a mortgage? What's out there, what's not? Is there a foreclosure, any information from that nature? Okay. They would also do, like, if there's anything at risk on the property, it would show that here if it did pull up through the county sites. Okay. If I hit next over here, to jump to my next screen takes a second, so just give it a minute. I have to reset this. All right, let's just dive back over here. Okay. What that would do is it would take me to the generate the reports. Okay, so again, remember, I searched the property in the search panel. It pulled up this. I can view the details, and or then I can generate a report if I want one. Okay, now real quick, the O&E report, this is a $5 charge. When it comes to the charge and if there is any cost related to the site, when you first register for the site, you don't have to do this right off the bat, especially if you know you're never going to buy anything from it. But if, let's say, you know you will at some point, what it's going to do is it's going to require you to at least put your credit card information in and do a charge of 25 bucks. Or I think the minimum is actually $5. The reason they do a minimum, where then you kind of have that on your account, is because some of the data you may buy is 12 cents. Okay, so that way it's not hitting your credit card for 12 cents. But that's why they do the minimum charge of $5. We have a lot of people that just do put a $25 credit on their account, and then that way they can pull into the data on it. Okay, but that's the O&E. Now that is a very quick. This isn't an insurable product. The O&E, it's not like if you're listing a property and you want to see what's on the commitment, because when we get the contract, when it's executed contract, at that point, then we're doing a full-on search of the property, which then we present you guys with the commitment. It's not that, so please don't think that. The O&E quick search is literally a very quick, just very basic, what's of record of the property, but it doesn't even go into depth. Now, and you can see on here, this also is only available on single family homes and on condos. Okay, so it's a very basic, hey, it's got 2 mortgages, the owner's this, and the deed was vested to this. That's it. There's not going to be a ton on it, so it's not insurable. So just keep that in mind, but it is there just in case the client requests it, or maybe you want to bring it to a listed presentation. The different reports too is you have a profile with comps. You also have a single page profile or a lead sheet. Okay, the one thing, let me just show you one of the profile with comps. I can just hit generate, and it's going to pull this up. It is fetching the data. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me zoom in just a little bit. And that's where it's going to, but it's loaded. Okay, so remember, it's loaded from the county data. Okay, and then it's going to pull specific comps. This is where it's pulling it from. Again, I know you guys have access to a lot of other tools for the comps, so this may not be an option for you, but this is something out there just in case if it were. And then obviously I can utilize this, I can generate it, I can print it, and I can use it for my specific items. Okay, I also have the ability, I can modify the search where they're pulling the comps from. Okay, maybe I want it for the 2 miles, 5 miles, whatever that may be. bedrooms, bath, built years, all that to kind of customize the comps, okay? But I'm gonna X out of that. So that's another way you could generate it based off of that, okay? So that's kind of like if I wanted to search one property, that's what it's gonna do. I'm gonna kind of back out of it. Let me just zoom out so I can get to the other view, and that's what it is, okay? Where I think the site is a true benefit is when you can do a farm, you know, where you can farm huge subdivisions, okay? And that's what I want to kind of dive into next, okay? But I just want to let you know you do have access. You can actually go through, pull it on specific properties, do it very quick, and then go from there. But what I want to show you is on the farming, okay? So right next here, you'll see the farming tab. I will zoom in as I get to the data so that you guys can see it. But right here, you can see if I click on farming, I have a couple of different ways I can farm the area, okay? One is radius search, one is boundary search, area search, so forth and so on. Now, let me just show you the radius search. I like the boundary, but I'll show you in that in just a second. But if I click on radius, okay, if I zoom out just a little bit, I can either put in an address I want it to put me towards, you know, that way it pops me right to that subdivision, or I'm zooming in and out on my mouse. That's all I'm doing. And I'm zooming out. So as you can see, I'm in the Riverview, Bloomingdale area. But if I zoom back in, let's say I'm like, okay, I want to farm this area and it all looks heavily residential, okay? On my mouse, you can see there's a little pin drop, okay? So if I want to start farming this, I'm gonna left click and it's gonna drop the radius. Now, I can slide the radius. I can take the other pin that's on the outside of the radius and I can bring it in to make it smaller, do this, and then all I would do from there, if this seems to be a good area for me, I could hit get count, and then it's going to go to the next. I'm going to show you that in a second. But one thing I also like to throw out is that keep your searches under the 1,000 mark, so 1,000 mark. The reason why I say that is because sometimes if you go, let's say you want to search the entire city of Brandon, the issue is it's gonna allow you to hit search, but the issue is it's just gonna spin because of the amount of data it's trying to pull. So that's where we try to tell everybody, hey, look, try to be specific with your search, try to limit your search, and try to limit it to 1,000 properties or less, okay? So just want to let you know, that's why, I mean, sure, I could zoom out and I can make this radius massive, you know, but I don't want to do that because it's going to bog me down, okay? But I'm going to clear the search. I don't want to do radius. I want to show you the farming. So I could go back up to farm. I'm going to hit boundary, okay? So from here, same thing. If I wanted to type in an address, it's going to put it right here, okay? And then it's going to pin drop me right to that property, okay? I'm going to just use the pin drops, as you can see right here, and go from there. So right here, my pin drop is, I would just left drop, again, hit my left on the mouse. I'm going to drop it. Once I do that, I can see I can start drawing you know, any type of shape I want. So I'm going to drop it there. I go around these properties, bring it in here, and just keep going all the way around, okay? I could do this all as much as I want. I don't even know how many properties this would be. Once I get to the end of it, I would just double click it, okay? And it closes it. Now I could also drag this if I miss specific properties once I close it out. Let's say this is sufficient for what I want. From there, I would just hit get count, okay? So at this point, if I hit get count, this is where it's going to generate all the properties I just pulled or within my radius. And here's where I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you guys. Hopefully you guys can see this. So it pulled 398 properties based off of the search, okay? So this is where I can kind of go a deeper dive into those properties. I can be specific as to what that looks like in the data I'm pulling, especially if I'm working with a specific client or I'm trying to farm a specific area. Maybe you live in the subdivision, maybe you want to reach out to them, whatever that may be, okay? Right off the bat though, I'm at 398. I could just go right to that 398 properties. I can download it. I can look at each one of them. Or I could say, okay, I want to narrow in my search a little bit. I only want to work with clients that have a certain amount of bedrooms. Okay, so from here, you can see up here where it says bedrooms. Equal to is the value right now, or I could say greater than or equal to, and I could hit in 2. Once I put 2, I got to just go down here. You'll notice that you always have to go back to get count to reset your number. So hit get count. Out of those 398 properties, now it's going to pull up and show me how many hit that search. We lost 1 property because of that, so it went 398 to 397. But you do the same thing if you wanted to, let's say greater than bathrooms. And maybe I do greater than or equal to bathrooms. Maybe I at least want 2 bathrooms. Again, hit get count. Out of the 397, it's going to pull those properties. We most likely didn't lose any properties on that, but just as you can see, and I could go on and on and on with this. I could do that. I also have year built, assessments and taxes. There is a place, I don't see it on this one. There's a place owner occupied or not. Might actually be on here. Yep, non-owner. So I could modify that. Hell, I can even do even and odd numbers for the houses. Okay, so there's all these things I can do to narrow down my search if I want to be specific. Okay. Let's also say real quick, at the bottom, you can see here's my little search criteria. So I could say, okay, I want to X out the 2 bedrooms. Let's say I want to eliminate that. I want to gain back the properties that I lost because of that. If I hit this little remove, it's going to bring me back. But remember, I got to always hit the get count. I hit get count. I'm going to reformat it, and it's going to bring me back to 397. Okay. So again, I could modify it. I could tweak it. I could do all that fun stuff. I think there's a property in here that's probably very small, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, because it's pulling it on both. But neither here or there. You can eliminate those little filters if you needed to very quick. Okay. I'm not going to show you the premium data at this point. Yes, ma'am.
So Michael's wanting to know if we could do an equity search. Really like an empty nester, right? They're the ones that have the most equity.
Yeah, we can. There is a way you can do it. I don't know if it's on this field or if on the lender side, but there is a way you can modify it. But like you said, so here's the empty nester. These are people that have owned it more than 30 years. And so a lot of times there could be a lot of equity in that. And right now I can just put like, okay, I want to turn that on. So it's only going to pull me properties. So let's just say hypothetically, let's just see what that would do. Out of 397, how many people have owned it for 30 years? Let's see, 45 properties. So the hunch is they might be ready to downsize. They may have a ton of equity in their home. And now we have 45 properties to work off of. So that is one. Let me just see real quick. There is another place. Give me 1 second, guys. It might be under the premier data, which will show. But that is one place is on the empty nester based off of that. Okay. But we'll revisit that in a minute. I'm going to eliminate that search though. So you can see empty nester. I'm going to hit X. I want to go back to 397 just to show you the other piece of that. And now I'm back here. Okay. So let's say I want to pull that data. I want to get all those properties. I want to get it into an Excel. I want to dump it into my CRM, all that fun stuff. All I would do from here is hit download, view records. Okay. It's going to take a second to pull. Okay. So this is now going to show me the data. Now I'm zoomed in, and hopefully everybody can kind of see that. Lisa, let me know if I need to zoom in a little bit more. But you can see right off the bat, out of 397, there's multiple pages right here. So I don't know if you could see that. But that's why it's only covering certain properties, because there's only so many that they can add to a page. Now, if I hit page 2, you can see all the dots change. So it does cover my search area. And we kind of get that question, like, why doesn't it highlight that? It's because there's multiple pages to it. Okay. But I'm going to go back to page 1. As you can see, there's green and blue dots. Blue means that it's non-owner occupied. So that means that person doesn't live there. they are renting it out potentially, or it's an investment property or a second home, and that's there as well, okay? Same thing real quick too. If I want to scroll across, I'm gonna see when was it sold, what was the price, who's the owner, bedrooms, bath, and then obviously over here, it also states non-owner occupied or owner occupied. Okay, and if I scroll through, I can see all that. Okay, so before I kind of go into another feature on this, I want to show you how you can, not only you could always save the farm, you could save it, title it, and then you can go back to it, okay? But you could also export the data. So I'm going to hit export. There's different ways you can download it. What I want to do is I'm just going to show it in a farm in an Excel document. And then this is just saying remove duplicates, all that. I'm going to keep it all. Give it 1 sec. It's going to download it for us. Might open on the other screen, so give me a sec. But I want to bring that over. Okay, awesome. Lisa, let me know if you cannot see it on your side, but hopefully you guys can see the spreadsheet at this point. Okay. I'm just going to briefly tell you this. Obviously, all of the data and more is on this document. This is going to show you, let's say it's non-owner occupied. It's going to give you the mail-in address for the registered owner. So let me show you one thing real quick. I'll zoom in just so you guys can see it. But heck, the easiest way to look at is the state for the mail-in address. I don't know if you guys can see it here, but you can see most of them are Florida, probably the Florida property. But you can see right off the bat, there's a Texas, there's a Georgia, Tennessee. So right off the bat, that's just to show you there is the separate address for them, so that then you could be mailing out to them, you know, hey, you may want to, I mean, you can even narrow it in. Maybe some of these have owned it for 30 years. Maybe they do want to get ready to sell it and all that. Okay. But as you can see, there's a ton of data here. This is all data that's being pulled from the county sites. Okay. So if it's on the sites, it is here. You know, you even get a, there's a fireplace, a pool, all that fun stuff. Okay. So I'm going to close out of this, but that way to just show you, then you can utilize that data. Remember, all this data is free up until, I mean, it's all, everything I've just done, you guys can do right along on your side. Okay. So kind of moving along, there are kind of features I can edit from here. So let's say I want to narrow in on the 397 properties. I want to know who's going to be the most likely to sell. Okay. There's this little feature here where it says new possible leads. If I click on that, okay. So right here over on the left, hopefully everybody can see that. It's going to say, okay, the following life events have been detected and searched and located on properties that were within your search. So if I scroll through, you can see there's been 3 Liz pendants. So based off foreclosure, potentially. There's been 2 divorces. So potentially somebody's going to sell, 1 bankruptcy, and 1 cash buyer. The reason cash buyer is on there is because they view that as an investor potentially. So you may say, okay, I want to reach out to that cash buyer. Maybe they want to buy more properties and maybe I can get in good with them. Okay, but that's why there's cash buyers. But let's say I want to know, okay, I want to know who filed divorce and at what point, and reach out to them. Okay, before I do that and show you that feature, I can also, this is filed over the last 12 months. So that's a long time, right? I can do 6 months or 3 months. So let's just say if I do 3 months, let's see what pops up, nothing of record. Let's go to 6 months. There's been 1 divorce within the last 6 months. So why don't I do this? I'm going to say, okay, I want to know which property filed for divorce. And I want to see, maybe I may look into that and reach out to them. Okay. So if I hit buy, this is where having record, the access to your credit card, this is where it would pull from. So I'm going to scroll down and it's going to say, okay, for 65 cents, going to pull the additional document for the divorce, and I'm going to know which property that is. So for this purpose, let me do this. I'm going to hit pay now. I got a credit. I'm going to hit pay secure, all that fun stuff. And then it's going to pull the property for me. Okay, I'm going to hit display records. Here's my property. Okay, so from here, I could say, okay, here's the specific property, who's the owner, and bedrooms, bath, all that fun stuff. It's also going to say when was the divorce issued. It was in March of this year. okay? So obviously I can do that. Now it looks like potentially they've already deeded it just to John, which is the owner, but doesn't mean he may be wanting to downsize. He bought it in 1997, so that's a long time, 30 almost years. So you never know. But again, that way you can see specifically, okay, if I wanted to narrow in on specific properties, new possible leads, how can I do that? Okay, but that's it. So Lisa, any questions on that end? Then I'll kind of show another feature.
No question.
Okay.
Just wanted to make a comment. So a lot of times when I send you
Sure.
sheets, I include a lead sheet. And so the lead sheet is usually specific to whatever address it is that you have the listing on. And the system automatically pulls a radius of 2.5 miles, and it gives you those same possible leads. So when I send you a lead sheet, that's what it is. And it basically takes you to Title Toolbox, and you can buy it directly from the lead sheet because it'll give you a link to click.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
So what we'll do is, why don't I do this? I'm going to go back, and I want to go back to the specific search. So I could either say, I want to do a new search, and I want to just show you something else. So again, I'm going to do a brand new search. Let me get out of this one. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. Okay. Let's just say I want to do a different neighborhood. Okay. I'm going to start dropping my pin. As you can see, it's the exact same process I did before. Actually, I want more property. Get a good amount. I think I actually got some type of building in that. But let's do it. All right, get count. We can do the same thing. Again, you're going to see the same process once you kind of get your hands wrapped around it. It's the same process every single time. Okay. Loading it. Let's give it a second. But I'm going to show you the Premier data. So when I do the Premier data, Lisa, that might help when it comes to, you know, the equity, because there is some lender data they can pull, you know, based off of that, interest rates, all that fun stuff.
Okay.
Let's give it a second. It's still loading. As it's loading, I do see a question out there. Can it generate mail-in labels? I think Elizabeth is the one that asked that question. Yes, it can. So when I did the Excel document, or when I went to the export the document, oh, I only got 46 properties. Sorry, I'm going to do another search. When I did the export of the properties, it actually allowed me to pull it into, I want to say the mail-in label they do is Avery 5160 or something. That was one of the options I could have downloaded it to. So then it would format it perfectly for me, as long as I have those labels in my printer, and then pop it right out for you. So hopefully that answers your question, Elizabeth, but you absolutely can put in the mail-in labels. So, okay, so what I want to do a different one. So sorry, give me one sec. I didn't like that search. All right, let me dump these here. I'm going to just start pulling this. I just want to get a decent amount of properties so that you can then see the additional features it does. Allow, get count. Let's see here. Okay, 1,000 properties. Perfect. We're just over the amount, but that's fine. All right, premium data. Okay, so if I click on that, I got 3 tabs here. Now it's going to tell me if there is a price to it, but this is where if you want to really narrow in on properties and try to get that next deal, this is where you can do that. Okay, so let's first look at the mortgage info. If I click on that, this is now going to base it off of, you know, some of the information, you know, when was the first loan taken out? What's the estimated interest rate, loan purpose, all that fun stuff. We also have loan to value ratio. So that might be where you could pull potentially the equity, is where you can do that. So as you could tell, I can do greater than, equal to, between, less than, all that. So I can put in an amount if there is a specific amount you're looking for, maybe equity over at least $1,000 bucks, or I'm sorry, $100,000. You know, and that might be it. Okay. I can also do if there's a second lender, you know, But again, a lot of people, what they're doing is if they have a 7% interest rate. We have some lender partners utilizing this as well. But hopefully on that loan to value ratio, that's going to be where you can locate equity. So you might be able to say, you know, greater than 200,000. Now, I don't know the price point of these properties, so that might be aggressive. But I could say get count before I buy anything. It's going to tell me what potentially I'm going to pay. Okay. So if I wanted to do that, it's a lot. And it's actually saying there's no searches found on that criteria. Okay. So didn't work on that end. But if I went a smaller amount, it might. So let's just do 100,000, get count, and see if we pull something. Still none. But that might be where you can play around with that. So that's mortgage information based off of the mortgage that's filed. The leads, this is the same thing that's related to the new leads, that green button I hit for the divorces, the bankruptcies, stuff of that nature. Okay, so you can see right here, if I hit this little pull down, I could say, okay, give me all the divorces or the notice of default, probate, could be another thing you could go after, and then that would be filed against that property. And then what it's going to do is it's going to go from there. Now, if I hit probate, same thing. Okay, it's going to require a date based off of how far back. This is that 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and then it's going to pull that from me. Okay, and then it's going to pull how many. The last thing, if you want, is phone and email addresses. What they do is they pull this from a third-party vendor to gather this information. Actually, Craig Beggins and I tested this one time. We did hit his property. I think it was his personal property we did it on, but it will pull any number that's associated with that property. What that means is if, let's say you have a husband, wife, and they have 3 teenage kids, there's a chance that it could grab, if they have a landline, and if they all have cell phones, it could grab all of their cell phones, including the teenagers. What it's not going to tell you is which cell phone ties to who. So then it's just a dial game if you want to do that. But it would give you all of the phone numbers associated with that property, if, you know, depend on that. Because we've pulled some to where you get multiple numbers, okay? But this is where I could do that, and I could say, okay, I want to purchase all the phones. What you can see up here is it does say it's 7 cents per phone, and they do hit about 75% of the time they would get the properties. So technically out of 1,000 properties, I can get 750. Okay. I could also do purchase emails. Those are a little bit more expensive, but those aren't as big as a hit. It's about 35% of the chance they're going to get an email on a property. And again, if I just hit email and I hit get count, it's going to tell me the worst case scenario. I don't mean it that way, but worst case scenario when it comes to the price I'm going to have to pay. Okay. So worst case scenario, it's going to say, okay, if I buy, you know, if all 1,000 properties have a hit on the email, it's going to cost me 8 cents times 1,000. And then when I hit pay for it, it's only going to charge me on the ones it was able to pull. So let's say it only pulled 10 properties, then it's only going to charge me 80 cents. 8 cents times 10, 80 cents. So just know that. So you might get something that shows, you know, specifically, but that's where, oh, and actually I need to remove this. I keep throwing it off, the $1,000 equity. Let me go back here. It is throwing it all off, sorry. And then mortgage, I also want to eliminate that. Okay, perfect. But that's where it's going to do it, okay? And it would give me a count based off of that. Any questions on that?
I don't see any questions in the chat.
Okay. But that's where it would pull. I won't do a sample on it, but that's how I could get it specific to that. So again, remember, it's all based off of, let's go back here. It's all based off of, I'm going to get the count, it's going to pull up the data. It's going to be 1,000 properties. From here, I could go to the Premier data. From here, I could say I want the phones. From here, I could say purchase phone numbers, give me a count, and then it's going to give me that number. It's going to give me an estimated. So right here, it's going to show me if it hits. So here's an example. I'll zoom in just so everybody can see it. If it were to hit a phone number on every property, it's going to cost me $72. Okay. Again, I'm only going to get charged based off of the data I pull or that I'm able to pull. Okay. So that's it on Title Toolbox for the most part. I mean, that really gives you kind of like that deep dive. How do I pull property specific data? How can I farm an area? Can I do it radius? Can I do it boundary? Can I make my own shape? Can I pull it into an Excel document? Can I pull it into a mail-in label? It's all there for you. For the most part, it's all there for you for free. You guys have access to it. It's only going to be a charge when you get to the point of, you know, the added data. Is there a divorce, a probate, some type of lien that they're going to have to be forced to sell it at some point? Okay. So if there's no questions on that, Lisa, anything else on that? And then I can briefly show them the FANAgent.
I just wanted to share something with you. So when you go to purchase your data, on the bottom left-hand side of the little box that pops up when you're going to pay, it's going to have a little box that says have it sent to you in an email. So they're going to send you the data in an email. You want to do that because that way you can save the data to your computer, because Title Toolbox is only going to save it in the app or in the program for 30 days. So if you're going to keep it, you're going to farm, and that's even if you're only going to pull addresses and no phone numbers and emails, you always want to have it sent to you. And there's a little box that says for it, you'll click the little box when you go to checkout for it to send it to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. And thanks for the reminder on the 30 days. They do that because so much data is being pumped through this site. They have to clear some of it, because if you could imagine, if there's 100 of us pulling this every single day at 1,000 records, that number is getting astronomical. It's going to have to be stored somewhere. So that's why they kind of do the 30-day mark. But you absolutely can grab it. You can download it. You can pop it into your CRMs. You can store it somewhere else. And then you can continue to work on that specific farm area. So, okay, perfect. All right, again, remember to get access to the site, Title Toolbox, reach out to Lisa, or you can reach out to myself. I'll throw it in the chat here in just a second, and we can give you guys access to it, okay? All right, the only other thing I'll show you very briefly, I know I want to be respectful of time, is our NetSheet application. So again, I'm going to dive back to our website. If you need to know how to download this, how to view it, you can obviously download it on your phone. It's an app, or you can utilize it on the desktop version of your computer. The version I'm going to show you is the desktop version. Right off the bat, you can see up on the Paramount Title website, you can see NetSheet Calculator. I can do a quick quote. I can download the app. That's where if it's like, all right, where do I go to download it? All the information is right here for you. Okay, and even if I scroll down, you're going to see if I'm on my phone, it's going to link it right to the App Store. I can also log into the desktop website as well. So if I hit log into FANAgent 1, it's going to take me directly to the link. That link is this link right here. Okay. So there's two versions of this. There is a free version. You guys have access to that, all that fun stuff. There is a premier version as well, and there's a charge of 99 cents per month or $10 a year through the App Store. The access to that is marketing flyers, social media posts, kind of gives you that added benefit. And I'll click on it real quick. Don't want to spend too much time on it. But again, you don't need it. But if you wanted it, you could utilize it here. It's going to give you different templates, different ways to send out documentation to your clients. It gives you different filters and lenses. So maybe if you're heavy on social media, you want to show you have an open house coming up this week, I could click on this. It would then show me specifically what it looks like. I could take an image, a photo of the house, pop it right there from my phone, and pop it right into social media. Okay. So again, just a few things. I don't want to go too far into depth on this, but you do have access to this. You could also choose which platform you're going to pop it into, Facebook, Instagram, all that. And it formats it so then you pop it right in. Okay. So that's there. You don't need to utilize it, but it's there if you want kind of those added marketing pieces. Okay. What I want to show you is real quick. There is the calculators. So this gives you a full array of all the different calculators it offers that you can utilize. You were to click on any of the calculators, it's going to tell you exactly what data you have to put in to then generate that next document to be able to send to your client. Okay. Briefly, I'll just show you the seller net sheet. Okay. Buyer net sheet is very similar as to the data it requires, but that's why usually if I do one, then it's fairly easy to kind of do it the other way. Keep in mind too, the app is going to give you the same features. The only difference is the view of it, being an app, but the other feature is the website, the desktop version right here that we're looking at, it's always up to date. It's got the most recent version. If they have a new release, it's on the website immediately once they do the release. The app version, because you got to go through Apple and everything else, it may be delayed a couple of weeks. So just keep it in the back of your mind. If you use both, you saw something on the desktop version, then you jump to your app because you're on the road with a client, and you don't see the feature, it's most likely because it's a brand new feature and it hasn't rolled to the app yet, or you haven't updated the app on your phone. So that's always a good reminder to update your apps. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, real quick, on the seller net sheet, the only thing that is required, I know it looks like a lot of data I have to put in, but I promise it's not, is the sales price. Okay, all I have to do is put in the sales price. I can add the address if I wanted to. If I click this little add the address, put in the address, and it's going to pull the taxes for me. But for time purposes, we'll just kind of go past that. But you can see once I grab the address and then pull the taxes, going to link it into this. So it's going to pop it right here for the real estate taxes. And then I would just go through the list if I wanted to. And it's going to all really depend on how far I want to go and get it as close as I can for the seller, so that they have what their net proceeds are going to be. Okay. So loan type, I can choose that if I want, cash, all that fun stuff. I then can put my sales price in, let's say it's 700,000. Scroll down just a little bit, I can see my seller's broker fee 3%, but I can change that to 2%. This is your app, you can do whatever you need to. Also, if I start typing in dollar amounts, let's say it's only 5,000 that I'm charging for this particular deal, I could type in dollar amounts. Okay, and as you can see, it did flip it from percentage to dollar. Okay, I'm going to go back to 3%. I also have the buyer's broker's fee. What they did is they also added in a feature here to show who's paying for it. Okay, seller, buyer, or they're splitting, and I can change that right here. Okay. They also added in a seller concession. You don't have to put anything here. You can leave it blank, but that is here for you if you want it. Okay. If I kind of scroll down briefly, you can also see the miscellaneous section. This is where I could type in miscellaneous fees that need to be added to the net sheet so that the seller is charged for it. But I can always hit this little gear sign too. And this is going to pull up a separate screen to where it's going to say, okay, miscellaneous. Should I add to the seller's closing costs or subtract from the seller's closing costs? So this is where I could type in, maybe there's an HOA fee, maybe there's a credit, maybe there's something that needs to be added to the closing cost, or maybe the buyer's given a $5,000 credit to the seller. I could add that here, and then I could pop that into place. So I'm going to just hit X here, but that's where you can do that. Joe, I see if there is an outstanding loan, is that pulled into the seller net sheet, or do I need to manually? So let me show you a property real quick. Yes and no. Here's why I say that, but let's see if I can pull an actual example on that. So if I put in the property address, so I went back to the top, okay? So if I put in the property address, let's just use, I think I used this the other time. It's going to pull any property in the country. All right. I'm going to search this property. Most times, 95% of the time, it's going to hit the taxes. So as you can see right here, it does hit the taxes. The annual tax is $2,800. I'm going to hit awesome. Hit done. Now what it's also going to do, it's going to do it on that one. Okay. Joe, I gave a bad example, but here's the kind of answer your question is if of record, if there is a loan that they pulled through the county sites when they were pulling the taxes, if they could see that there was a loan that was filed, you know, on the recording side, let's say 10 years ago, it will reference that. And it will say, we also pulled a mortgage of $400,000 that was filed on 2014. Would you like to utilize this and put in the loan balance? You can say yes. It's also going to ask you, the estimated interest rate back in 2014 was 5%. Would you like to utilize this? And then they do the math behind the scenes, kind of the whole AI. And if they've made their payments for 10 years, what is that potential payoff? So it's an estimate. So let's say they took it out for $300,000, then 10 years for a 30-year loan. Let's assume the balance is maybe $200,000. Okay, rough math. But that's where they would do that. So hopefully that helps. It's an estimate at best, and it all depends if when you do the property search to add the taxes, if there is one of a record. So hopefully that helps you. If I scroll down, you can see though, on this one, it did pop those real estate taxes that we found. Now I can change this. Let's say I'm sitting with the seller and they're like, no, my taxes are $4,000 a year. Okay, cool. Let's put $4,000. You know, it's just going to show proration. This is all an estimate. When you generate the document, it is all going to say, this is an estimate. This is not your final estimated cost, because obviously until we get into it, until we know the exact closing date and all that, we're never going to get an exact dollar amount for them because of the prorations and everything now that relate to it. Okay. But I can see to where there is a loan balance. Let's say again, if I'm sitting with a seller, hey, by chance, do you know what your balance is? Or what was your original? And let's just put that in hypothetically. Okay, so you can put that as well. Okay. Or I could leave it blank. And for the time being, the net proceeds are going to be very inflated, but the hope is the seller understands that too. But out of estimate, let's just say I put in $280,000. This is where it's going to say, do you want to pop in the seller's interest rate? I'm going to say no and go from there. Closing date, as you guys can see, I can modify this right now. It's September 13th, but I can't change that. Remember with that closing date, it does modify the proration. So just keep that in mind. That does matter to a point. Okay. Reissue is the only other thing if I wanted to pop it in. For everybody on the call, just as a quick reminder, reissue is if myself as the owner of the property bought the property 3 years or less. Okay. So if we go back 3 years, if I bought it 3 years ago, almost to the date, the state, and it's regulated by the state, we provide a discounted rate because it's 3 years or less. If I bought the property 4 years ago, reissue rate doesn't apply. Okay. But if it's 3 years or less, no matter who the title company is, they have to give reissue rate. It's a discounted rate. So just keep that in mind. Okay. But that's what that is. And you could always add that in if you'd like, if you're sitting with the client, you know, they bought it and all that. From here real quick, all I have to do is hit compute. It's going to generate the net sheet document for me. Right here, based off of the information I put into the database, it's going to say I'm going to net $366,000. Okay. So a couple of quick things here. Let's say I want to see the detailed closing cost. I could click here. It's going to pull up the detailed closing costs for me. What does that look like? I could edit those closing costs. I could say the search, or maybe I need to add in a transaction coordinator fee. I could add that in right here so that it's added. Okay. I'm going to close out of that. Let's also say I'm sitting with the client. I pulled this up, 366. They say I'm not selling for less than 400,000. Let's say you have all the data accurate. Let's say you know the taxes, the loan balance, all of that fun stuff. And let's say you're like, okay, the only way we're going to get to 400,000 is we got to sell it at a certain price, because at that point, that's the only thing we could adjust. At that point, if I want to, I could say there's a little edit button underneath the dollar amount for the net proceeds inside the circle. If I hit that edit button, I could type in, and I'm going to back out. I don't want to put in $400,000. I want to 410. I'm going to hit done. Again, the only thing that can change to get to that amount is the sales price. So this is then when you can say, okay, the only way we can get to $410,000 is we have to get a sales price of $746,000. So again, it's a way then you could kind of push back and say either, yes, this is realistic, or no, it's not. Okay. Again, that's where then you have that negotiating with the client. But that's where that little edit button is, especially if they're like, I need more than 366. That is 100% where it goes. Okay. The only other thing I'll kind of show you, just what's limited on time, and then by all means, this is something you can sign up for yourself. You can get with Lisa. She can help you through it. We can definitely do a deeper dive into this one-on-one training. But then to be able to share this, send it out. If I'm on my cell phone, I can text it. I can email it, all that fun stuff. But if I hit share or print, it's going to give me different templates. If I have the premier version of the app, I'm going to have more templates. But it doesn't mean if I don't, I'm going to still have templates. Okay. So very basic templates. If you need to, it really outlines what's the breakdown, how I got to 410,000 on the net to close, and go from there. The signature section also on here, this is not for us. This is if you require your client to sign off on it, and then you put it in your file. Okay. And in this fine print that I can't even read on my end, it does say this is an estimate only. Okay. And on the side, you can see email, download, print, all that. One other thing I do want to show you, please throw questions in the chat if you have them. If I want to customize it, I can change the language. So let's say I'm working with a client that only speaks Spanish or reads Spanish, I can do that there. Okay, so it does provide, I think, 11 different languages on here. And the only other thing is if I want to save this estimate, it would then, I could save in my estimate folder. I could create a folder specific to a client, and then I could always toss those estimates into there, which then makes it easier if I ever have to go back to one and then just update it. The last thing I'll say, email. If I ever send this out to a client, do not, and I'm just saying this for your benefit, don't email to the client directly. Okay. The reason why I say that is it's going to come from FANAgent, which is the company that built the app, and it's going to look like spam. And it's going to have an attachment, which we all are scared to open anything now if we don't know who it came from. So my biggest recommendation is if you're going to email it out, email it to yourself. It's going to come over in a matter of 15 seconds. As soon as you get it, then you could forward it on to your client. They're going to see your name, and then you could even text it to them or text them real quick. Hey, I just sent over the estimate. It's in your inbox. It came from me. Okay. So I always love to throw that out there because I don't want you to ever have issues with your clients if they're like, you never sent me the net sheet. Now you've lost their credibility. But the reality is you sent it. It's just, it came from an email address that is not recognizable to them. Okay. All right, Lisa, what did I miss? And I know I kind of did a brief overview of that, but what did I miss, or is there any questions?
I don't think you missed anything. The buyer's net sheets, they have different templates. So when you're giving something to a buyer, there's some cool ones that you can look at that do like neighborhoods. So it'll tell you like how far away a dog park is or how far away Starbucks is. So there's other templates that you can use. And those are really cool to print to take to your open houses. So you can have like in your little open house packet. What I do with you guys is that I download them and then I send them as an attachment. So this way, if they want 3 different price points, you can send them 3 different price points and you can name them however you want to name them by maybe the price point. And that's how I do it when I send them to you guys. I just name them by the address and what the price point is. But I use the app when I send you net sheets. So it's really very accurate.
Yeah, and it's pulling directly from our fees. When you sign up for the app, you're going to choose Paramount Title. You can choose the county. You can choose Lisa as your rep, or Megan Duquette. We know she's on leave right now, but you could also choose her, or not choose her, but you can work with Lisa on that. Actually, no, you can choose Megan. I'm sorry, I lied. So you can choose Megan on that too. But that's it. And again, if you have any questions, I know we did a very quick overview of this, but the hope is it is a benefit for you, especially on the road. Super easy to use once you use it once or twice. But if you have any issues, let us know. Lisa's always there for you guys. Also in the chat, I did throw in my email address. So if you guys have any questions on this, any questions on the Title Toolbox, absolutely get with us. We want to do what we can to help support you guys. So.
Yeah, and just another quick note, I've already gotten a few emails from you guys about renewing your app. So if you've used the FANAgent app in the past and it's not renewed, and you need to get access to it, when you send me your request, just let me know who the rep is, whoever you're assigned to, because then I'll get them to move them over to me or to Megan. So this way, when your apps need to be renewed, we get a notification, and then we can go ahead and renew you before you don't have access to it.
Perfect. All right. Well, we're right at 10 o'clock. We want to be respectful of your time. So if you guys need anything else, let us know. Again, thank you for joining us. Lisa, I'll let's just say the last word though. So.
All right. Thank you so much, guys.